It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Jane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And we welcome you into Coach's Corner here on this Wednesday evening as we are in the month of December. We have a couple shows this month before we break for the Christmas season and then rejoin in the first of the year. But coming up tonight here on this edition of Coach's Corner, we will have Coach Steve Steele of the Owyhee Capitals along with Coach Brian White of the Sully Beach Chargers, Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team, and Joey Fisher of the Stanley County boys basketball team as they get their season started tomorrow. He will make his head coaching debut tomorrow night. We'll talk with him before that comes about tomorrow evening. That's on the way for our show here tonight. So we will return and talk with Coach Steve Steele after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention, it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Steve Steele here of the Owyhee Capitals. As you guys get set for a busy weekend. 3 games this weekend, all at home. Thankfully, you can all be at home opener. But you go from 2 games, or 1 game the first weekend, another game last weekend, and now 3 games this weekend. What's the challenge of going into this weekend? Not so much the teams, but the fact that there's three games.
Yeah, it's definitely a grinder, just because you're not quite you're in hockey shape, you're in game shape, but being in game shape and 3-game shape is just 2 different things. Having to go back to back to back is a challenging thing at any point in the season, but especially early on in the season. I think we talked last week about would it be nicer to have 1 and then a 2 and kind of build to 3. We'll find out this weekend, but it's just one of those things that is a little bit harder to prepare for.
And then you throw on top of the teams that you're facing. Sioux Falls East or Sioux Falls West is going to be a tough team. Any Sioux Falls team will be tough. Watertown has shown that they can score plenty of goals, and then Aberdeen is undefeated so far. Level of competition they've played, still yet to be seen how good they can be, but they've shown that they are good in those 4 games. So it's not just a 3-game weekend where 2 of the 3 are pretty easy wins in terms of how the state goes. These are 3 tough games to go against.
Yeah, I think you're kind of starting to see it's early in the season, obviously, but there looks like there's quite a bit of parity this year in the league. Sioux Falls East dropped both out in Rapid City. Tough place to play, but they're a very, very good hockey team. They've had some big wins too. Watertown's won some really good games, and they're a team that they've got a really good top end, and it's just we'll see how their depth goes and see what their goaltender looks like. And Aberdeen, we saw them in the preseason. They're a very good hockey team, and they're off to a 4-0 start. So there's not going to be any easy games this year, really, for the majority of the state. So it's a fun season to see that parity, and like I said, we'll find out pretty quickly this week how we can handle 3 back-to-backs.
Well, and when you look on the 2 games that you guys have played, 8-6 loss and 8-5 win, so you scored 14 goals in 2 games, averaging 7 goals a game, which is fantastic. On the other side, not so much with the 13 goals in those 2 games. You kind of expect maybe things to kind of shrink a little bit, like you're not going to average that many goals per game, probably not going to give up that many goals per game. But it's offensively, it's going to be nice to see 7 goals per game, at least in the first 2 games going into this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully we can keep putting up 7 a game. That'd be really nice. But yeah, we've got to shore up some defense issues. We've got different things that it's early in the season. We've got to continue to work on everything, as does everybody. And I think at times you can see some of those higher scoring games early on in the season just because there's a little bit more timing issues going on, and everyone's kind of getting back in the swing of things. And I think things usually do kind of tighten up as the year goes on. But that's going to be the challenge. How do we continue to shore up that defensive side while keeping that free-flying motion on the offensive side and that finishing at a high level?
Well, and obviously going into the season, you have your projected lines, how you start the season, going into Game 2 and going into this weekend a little bit as well, and that with Dylan Dotson being suspended, that kind of reshaped how you were going to have the Lions going into Saturday. Aiden Dozark takes advantage after Luke Miller had taken advantage of after a penalty kill, was able to score a goal. Aiden Dozark scores 4 goals on Saturday. You like to see guys in different roles step up and be able to take advantage of whatever opportunity, whether it's a lateral move opportunity or a step up opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that we've said that in the beginning of the season that we feel depth is a very strong point for this team, and I think that kind of like the NHL. If you watch the NHL, they mix line combos up, daily, weekly, for sure, if not daily. So I think us kind of being able to juggle things based off of what we're seeing in our opponents for any given weekend. I think you're going to see a lot more line combinations out of us this year. I don't know that you're going to see us get set into, okay, here's this line, and here's this line. And I think just the quality of our kids and the depth of them allows us to do that this year.
And you're no strangers to 3-game weekends. If you go to the state tournament, you win at least 1 game, you're going to play a 3-game weekend. You have at least 1 to 2 every single year. But going into the weekend, what's the challenge of trying to make sure that you kind of keep guys fresh throughout the weekend? Because things can happen. The game plan can fly out the window from Game 1 to Game 2 with something happening. But it's got to be a little bit of a challenge of the unknown of how Saturday and Sunday might be. You can have a thought process of it, but until after Friday's game gets over with, it's hard to know exactly how Saturday will start until you get to that point.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of coaching notes that go into these 3-game weekends. This is obviously different than the state tournament where we know our opponents for all 3 days. So I think we've got different coaches' notes ready for each team. But Friday night it's going to be all about Sioux Falls. We'll have our whole game plan for that ready to go, and then Saturday we'll pull the one out for Watertown, and we'll see if all the pieces are still there, and then we'll put that one together, and then do the same thing Sunday for Aberdeen. But it's something that you've got to prepare for, and I think our depth again allows us to be a little bit more flexible in these weekends where we can just kind of give a little different look day to day if that's what we need to do.
And talking with Coach Steve Steele of the Hawaii Capitals, how nice is it, though, to be at home for all 3 of these games instead of being on the road for all 3 or a combination of anything. It's at home at the Expo Center, one for the first time this year in the regular season, but also just in general being at home for all 3.
Yeah, home opener is always a fun weekend, and these 3-game weekends are always fun in general to be home. We've always got good crowds, especially Friday and Saturday nights. It's definitely a fun way to kind of really get the season going, even though we've played a couple games on the road already.
Again, talking with Coach Steve Steele of the Hawaii Capitals. They play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all at home. We'll have coverage at 7:30 on Friday night, coverage at 7 o'clock Saturday, and coverage at 3 o'clock on Sunday. The girls will play also Saturday afternoon. We'll have coverage at 1, and those games will be at 8, 1:30 Saturday afternoon, 7:30 Saturday night, and 3:30 on Sunday. All those games will be on Capital City Rock and on YouTube at Capital City Rock Sports. We'll change a little bit of we'll go the other way here. We'll talk a little bit football, college football. The playoffs are set. Michigan gets Alabama in the first round in the semifinal. maybe not so much your take on. Well, maybe I should ask your take on the semifinal itself and the playoff committee, because we won't have the time to fully talk about it. But is it obviously you probably would have liked to see Michigan face Florida State compared to maybe facing Alabama in the semifinal.
Honestly, I mean, I really feel for Florida State. I feel that they earn the right to be in there, just from putting yourself in their shoes. I mean, they did the only thing you can do, is they won every single game on their schedule with the guys that they had available to play. So, I mean, you really feel for them. I think that they deserve to be in there 100%. From the Michigan side of playing Alabama or playing Florida State, I guess the competitor side says you want to play the teams that everyone wants you to play because you want there to be no doubt. And the only way to make there be no doubt is to win all 15 it'd be 15 games, and then there is no doubt. So, I don't know. I hope they weren't disappointed because, again, it shouldn't matter. You should just want to go win the next game. But, I feel horrible for Florida State, and I think they should have been in there.
Is it good then that there's going to a 12, in your opinion, that they're going to a 12-team playoff next year?
Yeah, I think the more that you can make this undisputed, I think that's kind of, our whole lives it's been, well, the BCS, did he get it right? Nope, number 3's got a good case. So you just never know if 3 could have been the national title or 4. You get down to 12, I think you're pretty dang safe that there's no way that the true national champion would be outside of that.
I think number 13 would say, well, we should have been in the playoff and we were peaking at the right time. We went from outside the rankings to number 13 to the, we were the best team at that point. You don't think that'll ever be a case?
No, I don't think so. I mean, and especially because, you're going to get all the champions in now. So, it would have given, I think it's Tulane this year would have gotten in. You have the Cinderella opportunity because more than likely they're probably not going to fall in the top 12 by ranking. And any of the teams that are going to be in that 13 to 16 range, they probably have 2 or 3 losses. And again, I think that still keeps a good value on the regular season. But at the same point, you're not just taking a team out because they lost one game. I think it's very possible you can play bad on one day, but then ultimately come back and play your best games at the end.
Again, talking with Coach Steve Steele of the Hawaii Capitals, but also Pierre Governor football. And speaking of Pierre Governor football, that we might be seeing a Pierre Governor make. Do you think he's going to make his first start coming up at the end of December? With Kyle McCord at Ohio State, he entered the transfer portal. Lincoln Kienholz had been the guy that had been the second string guy, got a couple reps in the last couple of games. So do you think he becomes the starter, and do we get to see Lincoln start for the first time in the Cotton Bowl against Mizzou?
I think we see him play significantly. You know what I'm saying? Not just the mop-up stuff at the end. But, I think it's an exciting time because he's going to have an opportunity to earn that, and obviously they've got, 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks of practices leading up to that game, but he's going to have every opportunity to earn it. And, I have all the faith in the world that he finds a way to earn that job and, have a heck of an audition for next year in the Cotton Bowl.
What stinks too is that I guess it doesn't really stink because you want to coach hockey, but they're playing the same time that there's an Hawaii Capitals game. The only game that weekend. That's what kind of thing, because you play Saturday night or Sunday afternoon, it's no big deal. Or if they would have played Saturday afternoon or whatever, but it's at the exact same time. So it might be a DVR game to go back and watch after a Capitals game.
Yeah, it'll be a DVR game, or we'll have to see. Maybe Sioux Falls wants to come a little earlier in the day that day and. Play us at noon or something, so then we can get it done.
I mean, school's out. There's no school, so you don't have to worry about that. There's something to be said. Maybe we do make that work. And you got 3 weeks to try and work on that, and maybe they like to get back early.
Yeah, there's only one way to know. It's ask a question, right?
That's right. The worst thing they say is no. But I appreciate you never say no to doing these interviews, too, because I always ask you every week. But to wrap up this week's Coach's Corner, let's go back to hockey, 3-game weekend. Obviously you want to have 6 points coming out of that. You want to get 2-3 wins, but what's going to be the biggest thing for the Capitals to have the best opportunity to get the most points coming up this weekend?
We've got to be better defensively. First and foremost, we've got I think, we may not score 7 goals every game, but we feel very good about our offense right now and about all the different setups that we've got and everything like that. So we've just got to be a little bit more sound defensively. We've got to be safer in getting the puck out of our zone, not getting it on our stick and trying to carry too terrible much and just chip it out and play safer in our defensive zone.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time as always. Talk to you in the pregame on Friday, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, John.
Back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
Let me talk to you.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team as they are getting set first games the December 8th and 9th at home against Rapid City Stevens and Central. But as we get farther along and into this the first part of the season, Coach, it's good to have you back on the show. But how has practice been going so far up to this point?
Oh, it's been going great. Kids have the right attitude and mentality about their approach to practice. We're coming to get better every day, understanding that our effort in practice and our attitude and learning together and helping each other out is what we need to do, and they've approached it the right way. And I couldn't really honestly be any happier than I am with how they've been in practice.
Well, and obviously last year you guys end the season going to the state championship game, and there's a lot of girls that are back from last year's team that probably want to get back to that spot again, and obviously you're as far away from that spot as possible right now, other than, you had several practices to get to this point of the early on in the preseason, but there's got to be a lot of excitement for the girls getting back in, because maybe some feel like there's unfinished business going into their senior year.
I would say there's definitely a lot of excitement. I mean, and I would say that's more so due to the fact that we enjoy being together as a team, more so than any like end of the year goals or things like that. And as far as looking forward to the end of the year or like a state tournament type of thing, that's honestly, I mean, we have a vision, but that's not really our focus right now. I think it'd be a little ignorant for us to think that way, considering we're playing 2A basketball against all the top teams in the state, playing at the highest level. There's so many different things that go into that. Some things that we can control and some things that we can't control. So really right now we're just focused on what we can control, which is trying to get better every single day. Like I said, we have a vision. We know where we want to go, and we're all on board and going in the same direction. But we know that it really comes down to us day by day doing what we can to get better as a team.
Well, you returned 3 starters from last year: Lennox Dupree, Ryan Berry, Reese Twilliger, all back. Lise Christofferson got time, and she's back for her senior year as well. And to come back, obviously, specifically with these 3 girls, and I know there's going to be a lot that step up into new roles and are going to be great. But those 3 girls, Dupree, Berry, and Twilliger, it's got to be good to have those back, especially early on, and kind of set the tone of practice, getting set for this season.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, those girls are leaders for us, captains. Elise too. She was, saw time last year, a great deal of time. So definitely, those are our 4 captains, and those are our leaders. And couldn't ask for a better set of captains and leaders. I mean, those girls, they're responsible for bringing our program to where it is at this point. We've been building and building, and obviously, we had a great year last year, and they deserve all the credit in the world for that. they've been on board since day one. They've stayed with the process. They did all the things to keep getting better and not get distracted by other things, which can happen a lot of times. So those girls deserve all the credit for where our program is, and I couldn't be more excited for them, and we're lucky to have them as leaders.
Again, talking with Coach Kirk Bebout here of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team. They start their season Friday and Saturday, December 8th and 9th at home against Rapid City Stevens and Rapid City Central. 7 o'clock tip-off on that Friday night against Stevens, and a 1 o'clock tip-off against Rapid City Central on that Saturday afternoon. Real quick, to go back to last year just a little bit too, and probably starting into this year as well, what was so great about, from the outside looking into this girls basketball team is that, and you mentioned it so many times too, that these girls wanted to win basketball games. They weren't concerned about what they were doing specifically, point-wise, stat-wise. They were doing what it takes to win basketball games, and that is such a unique, and what makes a good team great is having everybody playing for each other and wanting just to get wins, regardless of if that meant you scored 20 points one night, maybe you scored 2 points the next night. There's just a lot of great teammates and great basketball players last year and going into this year too.
Yeah, you basically said it all. That's how you win. You care about your team and doing whatever it takes to help your team be the best, whatever that means. And these girls have, bought into that. I think if you go around and ask any team, they would all say that. But they've demonstrated that on a consistent basis from day to day, that's the hard part, right? I mean, everyone says they want to win. Everyone wants to, achieve success at the highest level, but not everyone's willing to sacrifice and do the day-to-day things that are necessary to make that happen. And these girls have done that, and they've shown so far that they're willing to try and do that again, understanding how difficult it is. And you really got to put yourself out there. It's a scary thing. I mean, you set high goals for yourself, knowing that they might not happen, but you still put yourself out there and you give it your best shot. And at the end of the day, you can feel good about that, and you can feel good about knowing that you did it together as a team.
What's another thing that excites you about this season going in, whether it be personnel-wise, whether it be just in general of being home a little bit for different games? I know you're not looking too far down the schedule, and you're just getting set to get started with this season and probably looking at just your first couple opponents. But what else makes you excited about what this Pierre Governor basketball team can do this year?
Yeah, sure. It's we mentioned a lot about the girls, but it's a total team thing. I'm excited about having my whole staff back. Having Coach Becker and Coach Blanchette and Coach Sleckaway. They're just really fun to be around, and they care about kids, and they make it a great culture and a great environment for our team. So, super excited about that. And then I could expand that to our parents. I think our parents get it. They understand the work that it takes, and they allow us to do our job. And we have difficult decisions to make sometimes, but anytime we're making decisions, we're doing it as a staff. And, we're doing it with what's best for the team in mind. And we have a group of parents right now that understand that, and they allow us to do that. And I think when you combine those things with coaches and players and parents all going together and being in the same boat and deciding that no matter what happens, obviously there's going to be tough times and everything's going to go perfectly. That's not the way life works. But no matter what happens, we're gonna be in it together, and we're going to keep going in the same direction.
Again, talking with Coach Kirk Bebout here of the Pierre girls basketball team. They get started their season Friday, Saturday, December 8th and 9th at home, and then they'll go on the road the following weekend to Sturgis and Spearfish with a trip out west before wrapping up before Christmas and a trip to Watertown and a girls and boys doubleheader. And you can catch games here on KCCR and also on YouTube at KCCR Sports. I know we kind of talked about making the state championship last year and not so much worried about the end of the year right now, but it's also though got to be a little exciting that there's going to be a target on the back of the Pierre Governors. And when you go to a state championship, I think everybody is going to be looking when they get to face you guys that they. Not that they don't bring the A game every single time, and you and I have talked about it many times that you got to bring your A game every single night when it comes to AA basketball, because a B effort's not going to win basketball games. But it's probably got to be exciting to have maybe a little bit of a target on the back, especially going into the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I guess the exciting part about maybe some teams looking at us as circling us on their schedule just is that we built ourselves up to that point. That's the exciting part about it. But you once again, you said exactly how it is. There's so much parity. There's so many good teams. I mean, that it really doesn't matter one night to the next. You're playing top teams, all the Sioux Falls schools, and I could go on and on. Like, there's not a night that it's going to be easy. So, it's just exciting to get out and compete. We've had 8 practices, I think, already, so we're about halfway through the beginning practices before we get out and play. And I think the girls are getting a little itchy already to play a game. And there comes a point in time when you need to play to see what it is that you need to get better. The biggest thing for us, and that we want to make sure that we maintain, is that we always want to win. We're always competitive, and that's the one really fun thing about this group is they're always going to give it their best effort. But we're not going to get caught up in a certain win or a certain loss. I mean, we're going to celebrate the victories because they're not easy, and we're always going to feel a little disappointed if we don't get the outcome that we want. But at the same time, we're gonna be pretty even keeled, and we're going to understand that we're a work in progress, and we're looking to grow. And at the end of the day, the team that can do that the best throughout the year, that's who's going to be there when we talk about March. So to look ahead to March right now is a little foolish. Like I said, we do have a vision and a path that we have for ourselves, but right now we're just looking at the one day at a time what we need to do in order to end up where we want to be at the end.
You kind of answer a little bit of that next question but how excited are you personally to get these for that first game? Are you itching and ready to go for that first game? Or as a lot of coaches, you really love practice, and not so much not that you don't like games, but you really like to have that practice. But how excited are you for that first game? And does it feel like it's just taking forever to get to that first game?
You're right in that I like practice. Honestly, and I've told the girls this before. If we just practice and we didn't have any games and I didn't get paid, I would still want to do it. I mean, I just love being around the girls, and I love basketball and all the things. But the girls definitely want to get out and play, and it is exciting, and I like the games too. But I kind of like the environment of we're just working to get better, and we can focus on that. Where without the winning part, front and center right in front of you. But it is exciting. It is exciting to get out and compete, and the fact that it is a challenge every single night. You're going against the best of the best, and you're playing at the top level. That's exciting. That's that gets you fired up, and you got to bring your best all the time, and you always got to be on an edge, and that is exciting. So and it's getting closer and closer, and I think as we're about a week out now, so now's the time we can really start to feel that energy of we have a game right around the corner.
Well, to wrap things up here, too, that final question, I know it's kind of a little unfair because, like I said, we're still about a week out from that first game, but what's going to be the biggest reason, maybe not so much to get 2 wins that first weekend, but to have a successful first weekend to set up the rest of the December months, rest of going into Christmas, the rest of the year? What's the big reason for the Governors to be at a spot that they want to be at the end of that first weekend?
Yeah, I just think keeping the same perspective of we're just trying to get better, and as long as we have the right effort and the right attitude, those are the things that we can control, and try not to get wrapped up in the other distractions or things that can come up. And regardless of the outcomes, if we can do that and we can compete with everything we got, then it's going to be a win because we're going to know where we're at, we're going to know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we'll just keep moving forward from there.
Well, Coach, it's good to have basketball season back. It's good talking to you again. Looking forward to that first games of the season, getting going with the basketball season. I appreciate the time, and good luck up to the first game, and also good luck here once the game started in this season as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. That is head coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team. Back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com. KCCR Radio.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your health care is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
This fall, take some time to think about your future. While the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill, it's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director John Winkler.
As we welcome you back here on Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at KCCRradio.com. Joining me is Coach Brian White of the Sully Beach Chargers. Their season begins next week, Tuesday, as they will take on the Lyman Raiders. But, Coach, it's good to talk to you again. And how has practice been for the first couple of weeks, getting through weeks 1 and 2 and getting ready for that first game of the season coming up next week?
Good. Overall, I mean, you have your ups, your downs. You have, when you practice this many days in a row, you're always going to have a couple of those days where maybe things don't go as you'd like or things of that nature. But overall, our group's working hard. We feel pretty good about this group this year, and think that we're going to take some steps forward and see some major improvement. But we are going to be young, so there's probably going to be some growing pains along the way.
Yeah, just one senior on the varsity roster. You're young, but there's still a lot of experience that's coming back. A couple of sophomores, juniors that have already played the last couple of years that kind of help maybe ease a little bit of the growing pains. Doesn't mean that there won't be any growing pains, but it does help that there's guys that are coming back that at least either practice, got some playing time, that knows exactly how things are gonna go over these couple of weeks and in the season.
Yeah, we got some guys that have played minutes and had some pretty important roles on our team in the past, and then we had some guys that played a lot of football. You know, they've had some varsity experience. The physicality of it, the speed of it is just playing football and being able to see that speed at the varsity level even helps. You know, so there's not going to be shock and awe when they get out on the basketball floor, but the game is still a little quick for some of our guys, but they're getting better as we practice and as we get better here. So we're hopeful. We think we've got a group that can really get some things done, and we're just really hopeful that we have a quality year here and we can really make some jumps.
Again, talking with Coach Brian White of the Sully Beach Chargers. They begin their season next week, Tuesday. When you look at your roster and you go on the right side, if you go to the activities website, you look at the right side, you look at the heights, you see several guys that are over 6 feet, one guy 6'3", a couple guys that are 6'2", and then you start to go look to the left side, and that 6'3" guy is just a freshman, which is hopefully he's not done growing at only 14, 15 years old. But it's a young group, but you got a taller group of guys that probably make you pretty happy, especially with some of these guys being young. You say, please don't stop growing yet.
Yeah, we got a little size, not much. I wouldn't classify us as a big group, that's for sure. We got some young guys that have a little size that hopefully can kind of develop into something underneath the hoop that can get a few things done, but we're really our guard play is going to drive us this year, and that's just kind of who we are. And this group really is going to have to play fast. We're going to have to be able to defend, and we're going to have to take the ball and make it a little more of a free-flowing game to allow some of our skills to play. And we don't want to really get into that game where we're just going to slam it down each other's throats and try to play that way. That's not how we're built. So this group's going to play a little bit faster, a little more free-flowing. We've got some length, but I wouldn't say we got a ton of size. We got a couple guys that built pretty well, but overall we're more on the lanky, skinnier side, but we're also we're much better basketball players. I mean, we're getting to a point where we're pretty skilled in some of those spots. So we'd like to play a more skilled game, a little faster paced, and if we can get ourselves organized and play a little faster paced, I think that's going to give us some opportunities to be pretty successful.
And for maybe someone who hasn't watched Soy Buttes over the last several years, and even going back to the state championship that you guys won about 6 years ago now, what changes and how the pace? You said much faster. How much faster is that kind of than what former Soy Buttes teams have been playing?
When we've been at our best, we've always played at a pretty good pace, so we feel like we're actually just getting back to that pace where maybe we don't have to run as many sets, we don't have to run as we can allow kids to be a little more freedom to make plays and to get out and run and to hopefully make good decisions when we are out in space and playing fast. That's always one of as a coach, you want to play fast, you want to do those things, but as soon as you do, what kind of decisions do we make? Or do we end up turning the ball over an extra 10 times a game? And how does that impact us? And are we okay with turning the ball over 3 more times a game, 4 more times a game, or are we not? And you just got to make some of those decisions, and some of those things you kind of determine as you go. And this group, we'll kind of figure it out as we go. We'll probably be a very different basketball team in a month than we are today, and probably a completely different basketball team in about 3 months. And then hopefully this group kind of grows together and we can put together a little run here where we've got really quality basketball teams for about the next 7 years. And looking at how our groups are coming together, I think we've got that opportunity here. It's pretty exciting to be part of our program right now, and we're looking forward to doing some good things.
Again, talking with Coach Brian White of the Soy Buttes Charger boys basketball team. You kind of mentioned, you kind of answered a little bit, but for you as a coach or just any coach in general too, is it a little stressful to have that so free and open and not as many sets? Does that kind of stress you out a little bit thinking about it, or is it kind of I'm okay with playing this type of game? You want to see these athletes and you like to see that type of game. What's the spectrum of where you how stressful that is to at least start the season?
I don't know that it's stressful. It's just you have to understand that's going to happen. You just have to understand that the mistakes are going to happen. You're going to have to play through them. You're going to have to find ways to play through those things and learn as you go. Are we a group that can learn as we go, or do we keep making the same mistakes? If we keep making the same mistakes, we have to make adjustments, and maybe we have to change the style you play, or you have to change some of those things. But if you're making adjustments as you go, then it changes things, and hopefully our defense is really good as we get the season going, and we got 3 or 4 guys that I think can really defend. And if we can really defend and take away the hoop and rebound the basketball, it allows you to run a lot more. And if we can get to the right spots, that'll be kind of a game changer for us, and we'll be really excited about that. I'm excited to see what this group's going to do, and we're really kind of looking towards a really exciting future here, in my opinion. So I'm excited for that. I like this group. They play hard. They have some energy, and they're physical. We might not be big, but we're physical. They've really committed to the weight room, and I think some good things are going to come out of it.
A couple more questions here. First is that you guys are playing at home until January 13th. Everything's at home until then. How do you like to be able to start as many games? Was that 6, 7 games at home to start the season? How nice is that? Because, of course, probably that meant last year, too. I think we had the conversation how many times it felt like you were never going to play it at Soy Buttes High School. But how good is it to start the season at home for so many games?
Yeah, we got a little stretch at home here. I think there's a couple of road games in there somewhere, but we'll have a nice stretch at home. Hopefully, we get off to a good start. But that always means that you're going to play a lot of games mid-season, late season on the road, and when it kind of becomes a grind. So you're gonna. I mean, that's just kind of the way our schedule's worked out, and our kids are pretty used to it. I mean, it's kind of been this way for quite a few years, but we'll make it work, and we'll just go play wherever we play. You know, that's always been my philosophy. We're going to play the games that are on the schedule and go from there.
Real quick, last question it's kind of somewhat of an unfair question because I'm asking you basically 7 days before you actually get to take on the Lyman Raiders. But what's going to be a big key to pick up that first win against Lyman, whether it is about them or not? But what does Soybeans need to do to get that first win coming up on December 12th?
Yeah, it's really going to be how well we defend and how active we are, and can we get some run-outs, can we get some easy buckets. Early in the season, execution is great, but it doesn't normally happen. I mean, any coach that expects great execution after 2 weeks of practice is probably a little bit looking at things the wrong way. You just want your kids to play with great effort, play with a lot of energy, and defend really well. If you do those things, you normally give yourself a pretty good opportunity to score, or a pretty good opportunity to win basketball games. So we just hope our kids come out and play really hard, play with great energy, get out and defend really well, and we'll see what happens after that.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time as always. Good talking to you again. Hopefully, we will be talking a lot more this winter. Than hopefully about it. We will be talking a lot more this winter for basketball, and I appreciate the time and good luck coming up next Tuesday. But also, more importantly, good luck all season long.
Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate your coverage.
Absolutely. That is Coach Brian White of the Soybeans Chargers. We have more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the Central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Pierre area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
That's a clown question, bro.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Joey Fisher of the Stanley County Buffaloes. He is the new head coach for the Buffs after being the assistant coach. And Coach, let's talk a little bit about you. Going into your first game coming up tomorrow night against Miller. But let's talk a little bit about you. How long have you been assistant coach for Stanley County before taking the head coaching duties here this year?
So I started right after high school. I got into coaching, and I worked with the middle school program for 3 years, and then I had the opportunity to make the jump last year to the JV level and work under Coach Foth. And after he decided to step away from basketball, I was given the opportunity to take the head job, and that's where I'm at today.
So, and you're, in a unique scenario too, because when you look at, you mentioned 3 years at the middle school and then going as a JV head coach, JV coach last year, that you're very familiar with all these guys, but because it's such a young team, you're even more familiar with all these guys because you have been coaching them for so many years.
Yep, I was given the great opportunity as I was able to really help develop them at the middle school level and really get to know them from coaching and that personal level and build those relationships. And not everybody gets the same opportunity to where you're able to follow those groups up through the high school level. And I was given that opportunity, and it's something that I'm very grateful for. And I've got a great relationship with all of the guys just because they know what I expect out of them and they can expect the same out of me. So we have that relationship right off the bat, which has helped transition into this year really seamlessly.
I was going to ask you, that the first couple practices, not having Coach Fote there and stepping in yourself, but you probably weren't really, not that you don't miss him, and obviously, it was fun probably to coach with him last year, but it wasn't so different compared to maybe what other coaches might be in that spot.
Yep, exactly. And I played for Coach Fote a little bit too when I was in high school, so being able to coach with him was great, and he gave me some tips and tricks and tried to help me out as much as he could. And then stepping in this year, it's like I said, it's a little bit different just being at the high school level, but I've done all the practice plan stuff and kind of been able to develop that and work on that throughout the year. So I felt like I was prepared to come in, but it's always that first practice is always, you got to figure out exactly what you want to get in, and having the amount of time, that was the biggest thing I think this year, is figuring out what exactly I want to get in for Miller and then what we can wait to get into. So.
Yeah, and Miller's your opponent tomorrow night, first game of the season, first allowable boys basketball contest, so you get a chance to play on that first day that you're allowed to start playing. And this Miller team, they've got 3 seniors. They're a team that you guys beat at the beginning of the season and then lost at the end of the season. But what do you kind of expect maybe from this Miller team before we start to get into your team? And that's probably the more important thing to talk about your team. But what do you kind of expect from Miller going into tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, we've been preaching to them. We knocked them off the first game last year, so they're gonna come in hungry. They want to win that first game. They remember we beat them the first game, and then that stuck with them throughout the year. So we're expecting them. They're going to be in shape. They had a good cross country season. They got a couple athletes coming back that will be a tough opponent for us. The Schumacher kid's going to be a good player for them, and then Isaac Hunter is going to be another one. We're expecting him have a bigger role a little bit this year, just kind of taking more control for that Miller team. So those are 2 guys we really focused on this week and tried to figure out different things to do with them as well.
So now let's talk a little bit about your team. Team that graduated, very few guys from last year's squad, a young team, a lot of sophomores and freshmen, not so many juniors as well, but a couple of seniors now from that junior year going into their senior year. What do you like about this team, and still kind of being young? What do you kind of expect from this team to start the season?
Coming off 3-18 last year, a lot of these guys had experienced a lot of success in middle school. They won a lot of games. They were kind of the top dog, and I think this was last year just gaining that experience and realizing that we got to be able to put in the work and do the skill stuff to get to where we want to be. It was good for them to experience that defeat in order to realize how sweet victory is. So I think that was a learning point for them last year. And I think the biggest thing is the maturity. High school basketball, it's a different game once you get to that high school level. So being able to get 21 games underneath their belt last year, that's only going to help them this year. I think the speed of the game is going to slow down a little bit for them. And one thing they really did well this summer was we talked at the end of last year, was what kind of team do you want to be? If you want to be that team that's playing in a state tournament, you got to commit yourself during the summer. And we had a really good turnout in the weight room. A lot of kids found the weight room, got a lot stronger, and they committed to basketball. And I think it's going to pay off dividends for them this year, and it's going to really show on the court.
And that's, you mentioned it too, that when you have success in middle school, it doesn't necessarily lead to the success in high school, but you know how those kids know how to win. And obviously, you coaching them too helps out with the familiarity that we already mentioned. And that's what's kind of cool about what you just answered that as well, is that you saw on the football field from last year to this year, and now you want to see that same type of progression from the basketball court from last year to this year, is that the guys are hungry. The kids are hungry. They want to win, and it's not just saying that they want to win. They're doing the things in the off season to be able to be in the spot to want to win.
Exactly. And, that was the biggest thing this summer, is realizing trying to get that success. And I'm in a great position. We have 13 guys coming back, so to be able to build on that is something that we're excited about. And like you said, it transpired on the football field a little bit. They had a really good season on the football field, and a lot of times you can carry that success over into a basketball season. but we just keep preaching to them. We got to be able to. Biggest thing you can control is effort. If you can control your effort, things are going to fall in place. But that's always one controllable that you can have no matter what.
Again, talking with Coach Joey Fisher here of the Stanley County Buffaloes. Their first game is tomorrow night in Miller, and there's a girls and boys doubleheader. Then they will play at Winter before getting home for the first time next week, Thursday, against Phillip. So you get to this first game, and we'll start to kind of wrap things up a little bit, but it's always a grind, and it's always some good competition that Stanley County plays. Going through this first portion of the season before you get to Christmas, you get Harriet Selby area right before New Year's, but these first 4 games before Christmas, how key is it to, I wouldn't say pick up all 4 wins, but how key is it to have some very good games throughout this first four to kind of set you up for the second half of the season?
Yep. And we always talk about you're going to be able to kind of have an idea what team you're going to be before Christmas. And we've got a tough schedule to start right before Christmas and that Christmas break leading into Miller's going to be a tough opponent. We know that. Winter's always been a dominant program, and they've had a lot of success. And Phillips' basketball program is really starting to pick up. And same with Jones County, is there's a lot of success around the area. And we know that it's going to take our best game to be able to beat those teams, but Coach Duffy and we have complete confidence in the group of guys that we have, and as long as we go out there and play as we can, things are going to fall as they may. So we're confident in our group, but like you said, it's key to get off to a good start right before Christmas.
All right, so final question is, going against the Miller Rustler, what's going to be the biggest key, what's the biggest reason here for Stanley County to get that first win and start the season at 1-0?
I think the biggest thing for us is we just got to do what you're coached to do. We worked on a lot of skill fundamentals over the summer, so really focusing on those and using those to our advantage and playing with the execution that they've been coached to do is going to be key. I think if we go out and we play with the amount of effort that we've shown in practice so far this first 2 weeks, and we execute as we're supposed to, I think we'll be in a good spot.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. First of plenty here this season. First for you to be on Coach's Corner, so you got that debut out of the way. I appreciate you coming on and talk with us here today, and good luck tomorrow and good luck here this season.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. That is Joey Fisher of the Stanley County Boys Basketball Team. Return with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com.
Why am I so sore? There are everyday moments.
Hey, hold the ladder! Hold the ladder! Yeah, that hurt.
And there are epic moments.
Slide! College! Class of 1995!
When a moment creates a health need, visit the experts at Avera Orthopedics. We're moving health forward so you can tell the story. Learn more at avera.org/orthopedics.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pier Fort Pier area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
Back here in the KCCR studios one more time here this evening as we thank our coaches and Coach Steve Steele of the Y Capitals, Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team, Coach Brian White of the Sully Bees Chargers boys basketball team, and Joey Fisher of the Stanley County boys basketball team. We, again, thank our coaches, and we'll have Thursday night football coming up tomorrow night. We've got hockey Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got college football Saturday. We've got the NFL on Sunday. DT will have high school basketball on Friday as well. There is plenty of sports across our airwaves here on KCCR, Capital City Rock, and on Country 95.3, all coming up this weekend. So enjoy this coming weekend with plenty of games throughout our 3 stations here on your Riverfront Broadcasting stations, as that'll wrap up another edition of Coach's Corner. One more for 2023. That is next week, Wednesday, right here on KCCR. Same time, same place. 5:30 we start coverage here on KCCR. And again, Coach's Corner one more time for 2023 next week, Wednesday. For now, have a good rest of your Wednesday and have a good rest of your week as you're listening to KCCR.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.